and welcome to a very exciting video. Today is publication day in the UK for Summer at the Kindness Cafe by Victoria Walters. This was originally released as 4 different serialized parts of this novel. So the 4 parts were released sporadically, and I have reviewed all 4 parts, so I will leave links to those blog posts below. And then excitingly, it was announced that this was going to come out as a bind-up, as a whole novel, as Summer at the Kindness Cafe, and yes, it's coming out in the UK today. I have been lucky enough to meet the lovely Victoria Walters, author of Summer at the Kindness Cafe, and I asked her if she would like to be interviewed and answer some of my questions on this channel, and very kindly she said yes, that she would.
Hi everyone, my name's Victoria Walters and I'm really excited to be on the Fabulous Book Fiends YouTube channel today to talk all about my new novel, Summer at the Kindness Cafe.
So first of all, I asked her about the inspiration behind the novel and what led to her coming up with this idea of random acts of kindness, and the cafe itself, of course, as well.
So the inspiration behind Summer at the Kindness Cafe. Well, I was talking to my editor and agent actually about what I was going to write next, and we were all started talking about how there was sort of a trend at the moment to kind of talk about kindness, random acts of kindness, self-care. I guess maybe because there's quite sort of negative things happening in the world at the moment, I feel like people are more interested in that kind of thing right now, and I was really excited to build a women's fiction story around it because at that time I hadn't read one before, and I thought it was an interesting concept of how kindness could shape women's lives, and how sort of making a pact together to do random acts of kindness might kind of change yourself as well as helping others that you do the kind acts for. So that's really how the kind of concept of the story came about, and very quickly I knew I wanted to set it in a really nice cozy town, and the idea for the cafe brew came to me really quickly because I thought that was a good central spot for the characters. And I liked the idea of there being a chalkboard up in the cafe where people could write random acts of kindness on it, and that kind of inspires the 3 main characters to do their own kindness pact and sets them off on this kindness journey over the summer that really kind of changes the course of their lives. So I really hope you're all going to enjoy it when you read it next week when it comes out.
Then I wanted to know about the research that she did behind writing this, because having read the book I can really picture the setting and picture the characters and the cafe, and so I wanted to know what kind of background research she did before writing.
Well, it was really strange actually, because when I sort of came up with my 3 main characters, I knew that I wanted a random act of kindness to kind of kick off the novel and also bring the 3 characters together. So the 3 characters, Abby and Louise, are sisters, and Abby comes to save her from London after being made redundant from her job. And then they meet a newcomer to Littlewood called Esther, who's come from Hungary to try and find her husband's mother. Her husband's recently passed away and she's got a little girl, and she promised him that she would go and find his mother, who lives in Littlewood. So when she arrives in the town, she spots the fact that Abby has left her bag on the train, and she follows her to Brew, the cafe, and hands her handbag back to her. And Abby, who's used to living in London, is quite taken aback that a stranger has chased her all the way to the cafe to return her bag to her, and is delighted. And that's what gets them kind of on the random acts of kindness journey. And weirdly, soon after I'd written that first kind of opening, I was in a shop and I suddenly realised my handbag was gone. And you get that horrible, like, cold, hot feeling all at once. Panic set in. I was like, oh my God, where's my bag? I was rushing around the shop trying to find it, and I thought, well, you know, someone's taken it. I'm sure they've taken it. and I was literally just about to give up when one of the shop assistants from the shop suddenly appeared at the top of an escalator, waving madly and holding up my bag. She was like, "I saw you drop it and I've been chasing you around the shop trying to give it back to you." And I couldn't believe it because it was just exactly like how my book started, and it just shows that strangers can be kind and random acts of kindness happen all the time. So I didn't do any research per se before I wrote that kind of beginning, but it kind of showed that the random acts of kindness that happen in the book can happen in real life. And then I got to sort of searching online for people's own kind of random acts of kindness stories, and it was just really lovely to kind of sit and read through them all and just kind of feel really good about human nature and mankind for once, because usually, like I say, you hear more negative stories, but there's so many acts of kindness like being done every day, and I just hope that people read this book and might be inspired to do their own one day.
Then obviously, as everyone wants to know, when you are talking to a published author, I asked her about the writing process and her kind of like journey to this novel and as an author.
So my writing journey was probably like every author's writing journey, in that there were a lot of ups and downs and a lot of rejection along the way. I've probably always written. I grew up as an only child, so I think writing stories and using my imagination was something that I always did. And I suppose it's probably about 5-6 years ago now that I started to take writing like more seriously. And it was pretty much after I read Twilight, I thought I really would love to write a novel that gripped me as much as reading that book did back then. And actually the first book I kind of wrote seriously was a YA novel, and I got an agent for that one, but it didn't find a publishing deal. And then I came up with what was my debut novel, The Second Love of My Life, which is women's fiction, and I found a new agent for that, and then that got a publishing deal. And this book, Summer at the Kindness Cafe, is my second novel. So I feel like I'm still quite early on in my writing journey, and I feel like with every book you're learning more, you're getting better hopefully, and you're learning more about kind of how you write a novel and what process kind of works best for you, which leads us nicely into the next question, which is about my what is my writing process. It's really interesting actually, because the writing process for both my novels were completely different. So for The Second Love of My Life, I wrote the novel on my own from start to finish, then went back and edited it and then sent it out to agents. Whereas this novel, I kind of came up with the idea, as I've said, with my editor and agent, and my publishers this time wanted to serialise it. So that meant writing the story, breaking it into 4 parts, which I've never done before. And because of how the deadlines were, I didn't have time to write the whole novel and edit it, which is what I usually do. I kind of had to edit as I go along and hand in the parts as we went along. So I was kind of writing the end of the book just when the beginning of the book was being published. So it's completely different. And the main difference for the process was that this time I had to plan a lot more. Usually I'm not a big planner. I kind of just have my characters, have my setting, I have a vague idea of where I want the story to go, and then I just start writing it. Whereas for the Summer at the Kindness Cafe, I had to do a big plan. I had to hand in quite a detailed synopsis, and I needed to know where I was going and also how each part was going to finish, because you kind of want a cliffhanger at the end of each part to try and get people to read the next one, and you want a kind of it's a definite 4-part journey for the characters, whereas in a novel you don't necessarily have to have like that 4 kind of arc to it. So it was a much more different process, and it was like challenging, but it was really fun to write something completely different and in a completely different way. And actually I think now I probably will plan more, because it made actually writing a lot easier because I knew more where I was going. So I didn't get to that middle bit where I have done before and thought, oh no, I'm stuck, what's going to happen now. This time I knew a bit better where I was going. So yeah, I think in future I will plan a bit more. In terms of writing, I don't usually set myself like a daily target or anything. It depends what mood I'm in, how much I write during the day, and I don't stress myself out about it, because I think sometimes you're in the mood and you can write like 10,000 words, and then other times you're just not in the mood and you can only do 1,000, and then you have to like go off and watch Netflix or something. But that's fine. I think you just need to find out what process works best for you, and then just get in that chair and get writing.
Then obviously, being a blogger and a booktuber, I wanted to know how much attention she pays to the reviews that she gets, and kind of like what it feels like to have those reviews rolling in.
It was really interesting actually, because Summer at the Kindness Cafe was originally released in 4 parts. So I actually got to read reviews of the early parts before I'd quite finished writing the end of the novel. So that was a completely new experience, and it was really nerve-wracking, because I thought, if people read the beginning and they don't like it, how am I going to be able to write the ending? But thankfully, generally everybody enjoyed the start of the novel, and actually that really like kind of buoyed me on like to finish it and give everybody like a really good ending. So I enjoy reviews. I mean, I love hearing what people think of my book, and reviews are really important for a book because they make it more visible. So like on a site like Amazon, the more reviews you have, the more people it sends like an email to about it, and it's more visible to people on the site. So one of actually the best things that you can do to help support an author that you like is to put a review up on Amazon iBooks or Kobo, and on Goodreads as well, because that just it makes more people likely to see the book, and it actually doesn't matter if the review is good or bad. In terms of visibility, obviously it matters to the author, who wants all the reviews to be good. I think every author would love to just see an across the board like 5-star review, but that's never gonna happen. And you know, sometimes to cheer myself up, I've gone and looked at the reviews for like some of my favourite books like Pride and Prejudice or Harry Potter, and look at how many 1-star reviews there are of that book. So the thing is, reading and books, they're just so subjective. So even if someone gives you a bad review, it doesn't mean you're a bad writer. It just means for some reason they didn't connect with that book. And let's face it, you're not going to be able to connect with everybody. But definitely, I love it when people tag me in a really lovely review. Like, it makes my day, and I'm just so grateful for the support. I don't think people realise like how much a little message to an author saying like, I loved your book, it makes everything worthwhile, and I just love it. So please send me more messages, give me more reviews. No, but do. Bad reviews, I try not to think about them, and I try to avoid reading them if I can, but sometimes when you're online, like, it's really hard to avoid them. I just think everyone should give Summer at the Kindness Cafe 5 stars. Thank you.
And then this being publication day today, but this having had 4 different publication days leading up to it, I wanted to know how it feels, that feeling leading up to publication day, and when your book is released out into the world, how it feels to have Summer at the Kindness Cafe going into people's homes and on the shelves in the shops.
So Summer at the Kindness Cafe comes out on Thursday the 23rd of August, and it's Sunday today, so there's less than a week to go, and I am pretty much terrified. I'm excited, but I'm scared. I think probably there's 2 main fears of an author. One, no one will like the book, and as we've previously discussed, we want everyone to like our books, and number 2, that nobody will buy it. So there's definitely fear leading up to publication day, but I try to focus on the fact that I've written a book and it's going to be published, and this was always my dream. It's a dream come true, and so many authors and writers out there have this dream, and so I know I'm really, really lucky to have a book coming out for people to buy. And I just need to focus on that really. I think the more that you get kind of support online, and the more people that like share the book and talk about the book, the more excited you get and the less nervous you get. But there's always that frantic fear at midnight the night before, like checking your Amazon ranking, like refresh. Why am I not in the top 10 yet? and I don't think that'll ever go. Well, in a way I hope it doesn't, because it just means like I'm really passionate about the book and I really want everybody to read it. So of course I'm going to be nervous, because it's my baby, and you know, you're putting yourself out there, you're putting your writing out there, and it's a big deal. So I probably will spend most of the morning online on publication day, and then I'll probably go out for lunch with my mum and just sort of raise a glass to the book and send it on its way, and just hope that people buy it and people like it.
And of course, it wouldn't be an interview with an author without asking the cheeky question of, what are you working on next?
Am I working on something new? Definitely. I've just finished writing a new book, actually. It's set at Christmas time, so that was really interesting because I wrote it during a really hot spell in the UK. We've had a bit of a heat wave this summer, which for anyone that knows the UK is quite rare. So that was quite interesting to write about snow and Christmas and everything during that time. But it was quite fun. It cooled me down a little bit to think about being in like a Scottish mansion in the countryside in winter time. And it's all about a single mother who comes home to see her family at Christmas for the first time in 10 years. And I'm really excited about it, and I hope you guys will get to read it soon. And then I will probably start writing something else very soon. I hate not writing, so I'm always kind of writing something. Sometimes I like just writing things for fun. Like I know it probably won't get published, but I think it's still nice to kind of just write for me sometimes. So I've got a few ideas in the pipeline, and I'll be getting cracking on them. But I think I'll just get publication day for Summer at the Kindness Cafe out of the way first, and then we'll see where we're at and go from there. But yeah, it's really nice to have kind of new ideas to be thinking about and new characters to kind of meet, and it's just really fun creating a new world each time. And that's really why I love being a writer and being an author, because you just get to use your imagination every day, and it's just lots of fun.
Well, I'm excited about that. I'm sure you are as well. As I say, I will leave the link to order Summer at the Kindness Cafe below, as well as my thoughts on the novel. I've reviewed all 4 parts of it and I loved it. Thank you so much, Victoria, for answering my burning questions and being here on my channel today, and obviously happy publication day. And yeah, I'm excited to hear what's next. Really, really excited. And thank you for watching. If you have any comments or questions, then do leave them in the description box below, and I'm sure that we can answer them for you. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed so that my next video lands in your subscription feed, and I will be back with another video very soon, so I will see you then.